Hello there. Welcome back to my channel, Snips by Kelly. I'm Kelly, and tonight I'm excited to share a beautiful but simple 2-page layout and some exclusive product that is dropping on July 3rd. It's called Changing Leaves, and there's a gorgeous stamp set as well as a beautiful hybrid embossing folder that both embosses, cuts, and can act as your stamping agent as well if you ink the embossing folder. It is gorgeous, it's versatile, and I love it. So you can see that it has the hybrid embossing folder. I've added the die cut to it already. They do come separately, so your dies are separate and your stamp is separate. And so it is gorgeous. You can insert the die right inside the textured embossing folder, and it creates so much dimension. So it will cut those 3 leaves out, as well as emboss those with gorgeous, gorgeous leaf patterns. And then you also could ink the inside of the embossing folder and stamp those leaves with that as well. Of course, it also comes with a stamp set. I've combined mine with a magnet sheet, but it has this gorgeous stamp set so you can see all the texture on those leaves, and there's beautiful sentiments that come with it as well. So I'm going to use the stamp as well as the hybrid embossing folder to create all kinds of bits for a very simple cardstock only scrapbooking layout tonight. I think sometimes you want simple, you want fast and easy, you want a simple supply list, but you also want a beautiful layout. I have some family photos that are coming up here at the end of July, and we have not had family photos since 2015. So I am excited to create some layouts that I'm going to be able to use for those. So let's take a look at how those look when they come out of the hybrid embossing folder. So I use 6x6 pieces of white cardstock as well as some Misty Moonlight, Pool Party, and Petal Pink. And so I created some of those with the embossing folder only. I created some of those, you can see where I cut out the interior with the die, and I love the texture. I love, love, love the texture. Then I created some of the bits both from the other dies as well as the hybrid dies that go together. Some of them I inked the embossing folder with Pool Party and did some like that. Some of those I used the dies by themselves, and some of those I stamped. And you can see that I actually stamped some of the stitch sentiments with Misty Moonlight on some basic gray cardstock over there. And I just made way more than we need, but I wanted to get a feel for how these all work and how they go together and the beautiful bits and pieces that they make. So I actually just left these pieces 6x6. I'm using a 12x12 white as the background, and I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing. I thought originally that I would use a combination of these colors of the 6x6 embossed pieces and maybe make a shaker out of the cutout embossed piece or a couple of the cutout embossed pieces. And then I sort of decided that might be a different project, maybe a card project or a completely different project, because I love just the plain textured background. And so I'm going to use 4 6x6s on each the left and the right side of the layout, and I'm just kind of deciding on the colors. I made more than I needed because sometimes when I look at a stamp or a die or an embossing folder in the catalog, I absolutely love it, but I don't exactly know what all it does. And so sometimes I will run the pieces through, even on scrap paper, just to figure out what they do. So I went ahead and sorted my bits and my leaves that I created with the changing leaves into my Junk Gypsy tray. And this is what I'm envisioning. I was originally envisioning 4 4x4s on the left and 3 4x4s on the right, and then having that corner up there maybe being a shaker, and it was very distracting to me. So I was like, it's not getting a good flow. Like, I don't like the chunk up in the corner. So then I completely changed my mind and thought I want just a smooth embossed piece up in that corner, and then maybe go ahead and do the Misty Moonlight photo grid. So I have 8.5 by 8.5 Misty Moonlight for 4 by 4 photos. And I originally thought maybe I could come up the middle with those other photos. And I decide to do a second 8.5 by 8.5 photo grid, and then maybe use one of those squares for a title. And I'm going to leave those loose for right now. I did put foam tape on the back of those, but I kind of want to leave them loose so that I can tuck lots of bits underneath. Now, I've done lots of wreath style layouts where you put the leaves all the way around, but I thought I would actually love to do just corners and have maybe the upper left corner and on the left page and the upper right corner on the right page, and just start out with some base leaf pieces. So whenever I'm looking for an anchor piece to create clusters out of, I usually anchor with the largest piece, not always, but a long piece or a larger piece is usually what I anchor with. And so I'm just kind of going around with some of these pieces, and I may end up changing those at the end, but I'm just sort of fussing around and adding larger pieces that I can then come back in, and I'm playing around with the colors. So I kind of like that I can use some different colors up on the white, and they're going to show up, and then I'm going to use some contrast colors over on the Misty Moonlight down below. So I'm just playing. Like I said, we have not had full family photos taken, like professional family photos taken, since 2015, and we have had 4 grandchildren since then, and I'm ashamed of myself. As a scrapbooker, I know people that literally take family photos every single year for their Christmas cards, and we are terrible. We are so busy, first of all, and then it's a challenge to get all of us in one spot at a time. We do pretty good on at least one of the holidays each year. We kind of rotate, so sometimes we all get together at Christmas or Thanksgiving, and honestly, I do a terrible job. We all sort of it looks like chaos at Christmas, like everything has exploded. We don't have that large of a home. And so I do try to corral everybody. Usually sometimes I'm really good about getting everybody before we eat and saying, okay, everyone, get here before we eat. Well, this last year, my husband was dealing with cattle, of course, on a farm and ranch. It doesn't matter if it's a holiday, the cows still need to be taken care of, and typically it can be bad weather. And so he didn't get into the photo because he didn't get in until later. I did get some of like all the grandkids and a few of me with the grandkids, but quite honestly, like after you're cooking and you're playing games and you're laughing and you're having fun, I don't know how these people do it. I really don't. They get the perfect Christmas card photos every year. And so we are finally, after all this time, we are finally having family photos at the end of July. And I've been kind of looking for different layout opportunities that we could do a variety. We're going to do some indoor and some outdoor. So we have 3 grown children who are married. So that's 6 kids, and then 8 grandkids. And so we're going to take the 6 grandkids, or the 8 grandkids, the 6 adult children, and then my husband and I'm so excited, and I so hope the weather cooperates. And I think we're going to mostly get outdoor. And so I thought these would be perfect. Sometimes we think about leaves only being fall. And I do a ton of layouts that are fall, with fall leaves, but we have leaves all summer. We even have Christmas leaves. So I think it's really a neat idea that these changing leaves can be used for all colors and all patterns. And I love the combination of the boho blue, the pool party, and the petal pink. It is gorgeous. So we have so much happening as I keep sorting here. I'm kind of sorting a couple of each style over to the left and over to the right, and then I'll do the clustering. But on July 3rd, it's going to be a bit overwhelming, actually. So we have 2 enormous product drops. So if you follow Close to My Heart, you know that Stampin' Up! Has purchased bridge product from Close to My Heart, and that is Close to My Heart designed, Stampin' Up! Sold product to help makers who transitioned over to Stampin' Up! Get through. And the last of the bridge product is dropping on July 3rd, and it's incredible. I'll be doing a video here soon about that product, but right now I am doing second generation stamping with the You Are Amazing in Every Single Way stamp. And I'm stamping off with Misty Moonlight onto scrap paper and then back onto a 4x4 white daisy square. Now this can be a journaling square, but I thought I would make it into a decorative element with background stamping. I love to take single stamps and just make a whole background piece with second generation stamping, just going back and forth in different areas. And it so doesn't have to be perfect. It's just going to be background stamping. Much of it is going to be covered up, and I'm not doing a lot with this layout because the whole theme of this layout is simple supplies, meaning cardstock only, and then a very basic and simple layout. Even though there are a lot of bits, they all come from the hybrid embossing folder, the Changing Leaves hybrid embossing folder, and the Changing Leaves stamp. And so all of those pieces could just be cut out all at once from the one collection or the one bundle, the Changing Leaves bundle, and then you can decorate with that. We're going to pull in a tiny bit of ephemera, but I love that you can use cardstock only on this, and there's so much texture in the background because of the embossing. It's absolutely gorgeous without any pattern paper at all. And the colors in the die pieces and the stamp pieces are gorgeous as well, and they're going to be all we need. Less is more. It seems like a lot, but they're actually easy. You're cutting out multiple pieces at a time because that embossing, hybrid embossing folder cuts out 3 large leaves, and it leaves you with a frame that you can either use. So if you put a 6x6 piece of cardstock into that embossing folder, you put the die that coordinates with the hybrid embossing folder in there. It gives you a 6x6 embossed piece with leaves, and it also gives you 3 larger leaves all on one. And then you can fussy cut that outer piece. There's quite a few leaves that you can fussy cut out of the outer edge not to waste it, or you can use that as a whole. And again, I'm excited to maybe make a shaker window out of that. I think that would be really, really cool. So it's a simple supply list in that it's cardstock only. It's primarily the one Changing Leaves bundle. We're going to add a little ephemera and a little bling, and we're going to call it good, because the whole theme of this is when you want simple and beautiful in the same sentence. And I love that we can throw this together really easily. It's going to hold 7 photos of my family photos that we're taking here at the end of July. And I'm so excited to be able to get 7 on one page and still have a beautiful decorative element. All the heavy lifting is in the clustering. So what I try to do when I'm clustering is find the larger anchors and just tuck bits into the anchors, and then pay attention to a little bit of color balance. Obviously, you don't want all of one color by each other. You can even have white on white. You can have some of the white leaves be on the base. You can have some of the textured leaves with some of the stamped leaves. You can have some of the die leaves that are more intricate with some of the base die leaves. And it's just going to be a really pretty combination altogether. And you pretty much can't go wrong. It's just going to look lovely. I like mine to trail off and go around. Those people that like less embellishing could definitely do a visual triangle. So you could do a little cluster of 3 and have 3 little clusters that draw your eye across the page. I just wanted to do some focal corners and just have your eye curve around all of those photos as a whole, and then use that square as a title element. And I think it's going to be so great. So back to the product drop. The bridge product that's dropping is going to be all those things that we've been highly anticipating. So gnomes for summer. People have been waiting for gnomes for summer because in Close to My Heart, we had gnomes for spring, gnomes for fall, and gnomes for winter. And this completes the series. And thank you, Stampin' Up! for purchasing our gnomes for summer. So we're not left with 3 seasons. We actually get to finish gnomes for summer. So on July 3rd, or actually midnight 01 on July 2nd, the gnomes for summer will drop. We are also going to have some of the projects that would have been our May National Scrapbooking projects. So we are going to have a workshop called Secret Garden. We're going to have a collection, a smaller collection called Soda Pop. We're going to have our gnomes. We're going to have some standalone stamps and some other extra things. Also, some of the things that we've been promised for a while. We're going to have some of our signature flip flaps, page protectors. We're going to have albums, and we're going to have some of those things that we've been anxiously awaiting for. Also, some adhesives and adhesive refills in case we all have similar tape runners that don't have any refills left. We can grab them on that day. And then on top of all of that goodness, we have a Stampin' Up! Online exclusive sale with online exclusives dropping with absolutely out of this world gorgeous paper suites and some Stampin' Die bundles. And so I'm planning on doing a bash with one of those beautiful bundles called Seasons of Green and Gold. I'm planning on doing some other things with some of those, but this Changing Leaves is part of that product drop. So it's going to be enormous. It's absolutely going to be enormous. I've put some extra bonuses in place for my Snips by Kelly paper crafters just because I know they're probably going to want to dig deep and get the product that we're going to use in July and August, and actually some of that in September for our September bash. So as you can see, with all that chit chat, that gave me plenty of time to get you all excited, and as excited as I am about this enormous product drop on July 3rd, part of me is wishing it wasn't all at once. I know that we have to pick and choose, but the other part of me is so happy to have it all in my hands so that we can just create a way. So I did pull out some ephemera, and it is called Saying Something Ephemera Pack. It's all kinds of sentiments, bigger ones, smaller ones, cutout ones, some that are on rectangles, some that are on circles, and there's 2 sheets each of 3 sheets of ephemera. So I just kind of went through the Saying Something ephemera to see if I could find anything that would maybe match this series. So if I could find anything that would match Misty Moonlight or Pool Party or Petal Pink, and I actually found several pieces that would match Pool Party, and then I found some pieces that were white, and I think it's going to be just enough to add some additional sentiment elements and to add my title. So I kind of just searched through there, and I actually saved my ephemera in these they're kind of like file folders, but they have a clear sleeve. And I love the clear sleeve. They're a really hard cardboard, and they have a tab on the top so you can add the like a label to label that. And I add my standalone embossing folders and dies to these as well. They are from the Stamp Market, and I'll link those in the description, and I'm in no way affiliated with them. I just actually love them, and I love to keep my extra ephemera in there because it's number one, it's clear, so I can visibly see it when I'm flipping through. Number two, it has a tab, so I can have the name of it on the top and flip through that way as well. And then I don't forget what it's called as I'm learning all the names of all of the new Stampin' Up! Product. So I'd like to add You Are the Icing on the Cake over on the left. It doesn't have to be birthday for that sentiment. My family is the icing on the cake. They are the special part of my life. And then I'm going to use, I actually love this, the fine tip glue pen. It actually has like a piece that goes down in the middle of the top, and it's embedded in the cap so that it doesn't get stuck closed, and it's not so quick drying like say a liquid glass, but it's got a fine tip on it so it works great for letters. I'm actually just putting the adhesive more in the center of Hello Today, because I kind of want to flip some of that up and make it look loose. Now, if you want it down really tight, you can add that glue all the way to the edges, but it works so good to just use your tweezers, hold your piece that's really fine or intricate, add that with the fine tip glue pen, and it works out excellent. I did add some dimensionals on top of the "You are the icing on the cake" sentiment. And then the other sentiment that I picked out was follow your heart. It knows the way. And I actually end up forgetting that I stamped some sentiments with the changing leaves, and I stamped those on basic gray, and I stamped those in Misty Moonlight. And so I actually add that in just to be able to add a different tone. And I'll show you here what I do. I'm actually really happy with the clusters around the corners on both pages. I'm super happy with the embossing. I wish you could see it in person. It is just so, the depth, I will say this, that the depth in Stampin' Up! Embossing folders blows my mind. I love and loved and still love our Close to My Heart embossing folders and our patterns, but the 3D effect of the Stampin' Up! Embossing folders is absolutely impressive. Like, it stands up so high, and it's so intricate, and the detail in it is so clear and vivid. I think you're going to love them. So of course, nothing is complete without bling. So you can see my Stamp Market little folder envelopes here also hold my bling. So I have the basic gray and smoky slate pearls, and then seeing the gray pearls, I actually remembered that I did stamp some sentiments when I was stamping all my bits and making all my pieces, and I think that would be really good to bring in that more neutral gray with the Misty Moonlight sentiment on top, and then maybe add the other word piece maybe over on the right or somewhere else. So I'm just going to try it out and test it out. So again, if I didn't say it earlier, I have foam tape on the back of the 8.5 by 8.5 grids that have the 4x4 photos on them. And so the only cardstock cut, aside from the 6x6 squares that I embossed with the Changing Leaves hybrid embossing folder, is the 8.5 by 8.5 Misty Moonlight photo grids, and then the 4x4 white that I did stamp the sentiment on, just to add that interesting background. So to me, it makes for one of those things that is easy. It feels breezy. With Pool Party and Petal Pink, it just feels breezy. It feels summery. And so it's easy, breezy, and beautiful. And I feel like I was able to accomplish a simple supply list, a simple layout, very easy to put together. It's just all about making the bits, and making the clusters is the only heavy lifting in this entire thing. And I am loving it. And I hope that you love it too. I think that you're definitely going to want to tune in on July 3rd. I'm going to have some more videos here between now and July 3rd if I can pull it off. I've been working hard to show more sneak peeks of more of the amazing online exclusives, and then more information about the Bridge product drop. We do have a brochure, and that has been posted by several demonstrators, and I will be posting it on my public page as well, and it's been posted in my private Snips by Kelly group. You're going to want to definitely check it out, and I do have extra bonuses in place, and of course a Stamp It Up bonus kit for July when you use my code, or you have an order that qualifies for its own party in July, which will be easy to do without with all of this gorgeous product that's dropping. So excited for July 3rd. I hope you love it. Hit subscribe, the notifications bell, share it with your friends, and shoot me a comment. It always keeps me going and keeps me creating on YouTube when I know what you love and what you want to see. Thank you so much for watching. It means the world to me. Happy scrappy day, and happy July. We'll see you soon right here on Snips by Kelly. Bye-bye.